time for our one-on-one segment. Greg Koch here in the third quarter again is going to go one-on-one with Astros pitcher Bud Norris. As we get ready for this segment of one-on-one, let's check out this video of Bud preparing to start another season.
Kevin and Steve were talking about his great defensive work, but how about his hitting? Over the last 24 games, he's hit .337, raised his average from .211 to .254. He's hit 4 home runs. One of them last night, and it was a big one early in the game against Chris Carpenter, who gave him great praise, saying he wouldn't have thrown a different pitch. It was a good pitch that he hit.
So he has a little bell, and I would steal
Hey,
the
welcome
bell.
back to Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. We're very pleased to have with us tonight Astros starting pitcher Bud Norris. Bud, welcome.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, so you grow up in, you're a California guy.
Northern California. 2 different states out there.
Right, not the surfer dude.
No,
from, yeah.
nope. I was a golfer and snowboarder back in the day.
Snowboarding.
Yeah, a little cooler up there.
Right. So what got you into, did you play, were you a multi-sport player in high school?
Everything. I mean, I played it all. Growing up, I mean, my parents really encouraged me to play everything. Kind of, I think everybody will say that to your kids. You know, if you want to go out and try something, go give it a shot. And luckily enough, I played a lot of football, basketball, baseball, soccer, swimming, golf, snowboarding. I did it all, and I just was lucky enough. My mom and dad and sister at the time drove me around to all my events.
Was one more, did you have one favorite sport? Because a lot of times the sport guys end up with weren't necessarily the favorite sport when they were playing high school ball.
You know, there was always a question what I wanted to do. I enjoyed everything. I love competing. I think a lot of guys will say that at the end of the day they just love to compete. And one of the funny stories I had with my grandmother is one day I think I was about 9 or 10 years old in the car, and I'm in the back seat. My grandma looks at me, and I'm shaking my head in the back seat. She goes, "What are you shaking your head about, David?" Because my birth name's David. And I go, "I don't know, Grandma. I don't know if I want to be a baseball player, a basketball player, or a golfer. I just can't decide." And so luckily enough, I love all the games, and I love to compete. And so I have a pretty good understanding of every sport, because you can understand playing football is one thing and just watching is another, and playing baseball is one thing and playing is another. So understanding the game, but luckily enough, I enjoyed all the games and all the sports, and like I said, just love to compete.
Well, so now out of high school, you went on and played in college, right?
Yes.
Cal Poly?
Yes, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It's a very good academic school. They play in an amazing baseball conference in California called the Big West. We play against Cal State Fullerton, Cal State Long Beach, UC Irvine, UC Riverside, just a very good baseball conference. Coming out of high school, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the best. I was actually the second best pitcher on my team come out of high school, but it was important for me to go somewhere where I could get a college education that meant something to me, not just a kind of show up kind of thing, but I really wanted to work hard. And when I went down there originally on my recruiting trip, I was like, I don't know if this is the spot for me. But when I got down there and I saw the campus and I saw the area and I saw the baseball program, I said, this might be a great fit for me. And so luckily enough, the Cal Poly made a nice little offer for a little scholarship. It wasn't a lot, but that's not what I needed, because it was a state school and I really wanted to go for everything, the whole aspect of college.
Right.
And honestly, to this day, I can honestly say that was the best decision of my life. It was amazing 3 years there, and I thank them for everything I had and to propel my career to where I am now.
Yeah, I think some baseball players miss out on that collegiate experience, because that's some of the best times of your life.
Absolutely. You know, 3 years to get into a system and the camaraderie part. You know, you don't need to get into a fraternity house because you have a ball team or a football team. You know, you're going to have those guys around you, and when you get drafted out of high school, you kind of just jump into a system and you don't really know who you are. And you know, education is a very important thing. Even if I was there for 3 years, I did not get my degree personally, but it's just very important to end up with something under your belt, that you had that college education, and I can go back and finish if I ever need to.
So you're a homegrown product drafted by the Astros, Right. What year was that?
I was drafted in 2006, and I was in the 6th round in 2006.
Right. Where did you start your major league career?
My major league career started in upstate New York. I played in the New York Penn League for the Tri-City Valley Cats.
How was that?
It was good. We actually got to the championship that year. We ended up losing in the championship in a 3-game set, which was it was hard against Staten Island and the Yankees, and you never want to lose to the Yankees. And but after that, there was a lot more stops along the way, but I definitely enjoyed my first stop.
For the people watching, is it like Bull Durham when you're in the minors like that?
It kind of is. It really is. Nobody knows who you are. You tell them you play minor league baseball, they're kind of confused, and they know there's a team, but for them it's kind of like going to the movies. You go once a month maybe, or maybe twice a month, but there are some diehard fans out there that love to go and get season tickets because they don't really want to watch the big clubs on TV and can't afford the bigger tickets.
Right.
But the stadiums I got to play in at all the minor league parks, the Astros have an amazing minor league system, and all the ballparks are amazing, and I really enjoyed a lot of it, and once again, it definitely gives you groundwork to get to the big leagues.
Well, I know, like for professional football players, you never forget that day you're drafted in the call. What was it like the day you got drafted and you were going up to the big show?
Oh, when I got called up to big league, that was getting drafted is a hectic day.
Right.
I think any guy that gets drafted will tell you. I was expecting more out of myself, so I was a little upset, and I ended up turning it off. I was told by my agent and a lot of teams I was going to go 2nd or 3rd round, but unfortunately due to an injury, I got pushed back. Well, the Astros made it clear to me that they really wanted a part of me. They believed in me, and so when it came to the signing period, they said, hey, you're worth another $30,000, and they gave me a little more extra money, which really meant a lot to me. And so I knew that my time was done at Cal Poly, and I was ready to start the next phase of my career, but getting the call to the big leagues is nothing sweeter. You work so hard at everywhere, at every level, little league to high school to college to pro ball in the minor leagues to that one phone call on that one day, and I'll tell you, it was something I'll never forget. And the opportunity that gets presented in front of yourself, you just want to take the ball and run with it, and luckily enough, I did.
I know athletically, you kind of work your way up the ladder in high school to where you're kind of one of the top guys, and you have to start over again and work your way up the ladder again in college, and then you get, you start in the minor leagues. How intimidating was it that first day you walked into a big league clubhouse?
Very, especially at the time when I came up. There was a lot of old guys on the team in 2009 when I came up in July. It was just at the end of the month, and you kind of keep your mouth quiet. You really got to keep just mind everybody's business. Stay out of their way. Don't let it be. But if somebody comes and approaches you, you have an opportunity to really talk to them. And specifically, a lot of fans will know that Roy Oswalt was a big influence on my career. And it was funny because I made about 4 or 5 starts, and I really hadn't had any verbal contact with him at all. And he's a quiet boy from Mississippi, and I'm a little more outspoken from California. But
yeah, you seem fun-loving.
Yeah. Finally, one day after a start in Milwaukee, he came out to me during batting practice, and he asked me a question: why did you throw that pitch? And that's kind of what started our relationship, where he turned it into a chess game for me and how I needed to understand the development part of it and the chess game of who you got on deck circle, what's the scenario, how many outs you got in the inning, and kind of give it, instead of just trying to get everybody out with the best stuff you got right now, you need to tinker back and forth. And I really give a lot of credit to Roy for teaching me that.
When we were talking prior to the show, you were kind of telling me some of the tips that Roy gave you as far as what to do to be as successful. I want you to relate that to some of the listeners about the innings pitch and things like that, because I found that very interesting.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of people, they put numbers on it. Statistics are such a big important factor in a lot of things, fantasy and whatnot for football, and fantasy for basketball and baseball for that matter. Roy made it very clear to me, my job is to play baseball. I love the game, and I love to compete, and I want to win. That's my 1 goal. But at the end of the day, my job as a starting pitcher is to stay healthy, be on the field. The more I'm on the field, the more I can help the team. So I'm making 30, 33 starts a season. I'm doing well 1 there. And then with 30 starts, that means you're not just pitching 5 innings and getting out of there. You're pitching deep into ball games, and your ultimate goal is to get 200 innings a season. If you can get 200 innings a season, that's the ultimate goal. There is going to be factors inside and out, managerial discretion when he wants to pull you out of the game and stuff like that. But I was very happy with the strides I made this year as far as that, because I did make 30 starts. I only missed 1, which was my last one of the year. I pitched 185 innings, which I'm very happy with. But once again, that ultimate goal is to get to 200. And at the end of the day, that will make some money for me so I can support my family down the road for a long, long time. But at the same token, I'm on the field, so I'm giving my team the biggest chance and opportunity to win games.
And it's got to be nice knowing that you're being counted on as being one of those solid starters in that rotation.
That means a lot because, when you get to the park, and like you said, it's every 5th day, that sometimes the position players honestly forget who's pitching that day. And they'll walk in the park one day and they say, well, who's pitching tonight? And they say, hey, Bud's pitching tonight. they're going to strap them on a little tighter. You really want to think that they're going out there and they're going to fight for you, because I know I'm fighting for them. And trust me, when I have a bad one, I want to get back there out as quickly as I can. And when I have a good one, I want to get back out there as quickly as I can. And you kind of want, like you said, that momentum thing. If you have a couple good starts and you're rolling, you want to keep it going. And that factor alone, Michael Bourne taught me that every day that I got there and days that I started, and he knew when I was pitching, but he'd always come up to me and ask me, say, hey, you're pitching tonight, right? He goes, good, let's go. That's who I want out there. And so when a teammate can come up to you, those kinds of words of encouragement, that's huge.
So the Astros, a lot of people in Houston very upset, me being one of them, because I grew up in Houston. I'm used to the Astros being a National League team, moving to the American League. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, you have a right to be upset. It is going to be a hard one for us to swallow. You know, 50 years of existence in the National League is a lot. I mean, that's a long time and such a great franchise. We've won a lot. We got to the World Series in '05, and we've done a lot of things for the city. But as far as Jim Crane and the committee coming in, he didn't have much of a choice.
Right.
They held it over his head. He wanted to take this organization. He wants to propel it into what he thinks he can build, and that's what it was. So he didn't look as if I'm moving to the AL and I have it's such a damper. It's the fact that I'm getting control of this organization. Drayton did such an amazing job, but it's time for me to take over. And he's made a couple moves already, and so hopefully those moves work out. They seem great so far. But let me just say one thing about Jim Crane and the committee that he has. They didn't have a choice. So it is going to be tough. It is going to be a transition phase for sure. It's going to be a different type of baseball, but at the end all be all, winning is the ultimate goal, and we can win in either league.
But how would you describe the 2012 Astros if you had to sum them up for somebody just coming, we into baseball, just coming on the scene, wanting to watch the Houston Astros?
Young. I think talent and youth. A lot of teams, depending in any sport, you're going to have older teams and you're going to have younger teams. Well, right now we have a very young team. I have about 2.5 years in the big leagues, and I probably have about top 10, 5, 6, 7 guys in tenure on the team, which is interesting for most teams and ball clubs around the league. But we're going to be fun. We are young, and we will leave it on the field. And if I have any say in that leadership capabilities that I can have, I'm going to push these kids. I'm going to try to get everything I can out of them. There will be no putting our heads down. There will be no pouting. We will go out there and we're going to fight and leave it on the field every night. Clearly, the wins and losses, they're going to come. We're going to have to work on that, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's a long-haul process, and as you can see in baseball, it's hard to win that many games and sustain at the top for so long in any sport. So I think if you're a new fan and you want to come out and watch the Astros, I think it's the fact that these are some young kids, and you really get to watch them grow, and we really have a lot of young talent that's going to come up.
From an individual standpoint, how tough was it on you last year?
It was difficult. I was,
because you're a competitor,
right? And I never like to lose, and nobody does. I mean, I hope nobody does. And to that degree, I think it was a tough one to swallow, because when I came in '09, we were still a playoff contending team. We ended up, I think, finishing 3rd or 4th in division that year, and always NL Central is a tough division. And unfortunately, by that time, the team was old, and we had to make those moves. So Ed Wade was definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place. Well, I can't keep going out and getting older guys and paying the money that I don't have, because Drayton McClain, we didn't have the payroll, and the economy had a hit on that, no doubt. And so Ed had to do what he had to do, and he had to make the moves. Trading Lance was tough. Trading Roy was extremely tough. Hunter and Mike, and even Keppinger, even the moves we all made were tougher. They were good, older players that were staples in our clubhouse. So it was tough to see, but we know that we still have to move forward. We have to make strides in the right direction. And, at the end of the day, if all the pieces fit right in the puzzle, good things are going to happen. And in football team aspect, the same way. If you do your job and you work hard and you help the other guy get better, you're going to get better. And I think that's a big one.
Now give our listeners a scouting report on Bud Norris, the pitcher.
Man, I don't want to give away too much.
What's your best pitch?
I would like to think my fastball and my slider. I really am a two-pitch guy, and I think a lot of guys around the league know that as well. But as the game, you need to expand. You need to get better. You need to get more out of yourself. And I'm getting better and better with my two-seamer. I had a lot more confidence in my changeup this year. And somewhere down the road, I would love to learn a curveball if that's possible. Right now, that has been something that you just pick up overnight and you start throwing it in big league baseball games. So once again, you're always tinkering and working on new things and always playing. Every day you get to play out and catch. You get to work on something
What
new.
would be more important to your repertoire, to develop the curveball or to better your changeup?
I think more of the two-seam, just the overall movement, because my slider is good, and I technically can throw it at 3 speeds and location and movement in 3 different ways, and that's what gets guys off of it so much. But if I can get something going the other way compared to everything going that way, it definitely will get on guys' hands a lot more, and I'll get a lot more ground balls and hopefully lower my pitch count. The
one hitter you could name that you just really don't care to face ever again?
There's a few, I'll say that, let's be honest. I really want to say Prince Fielder. I think he's such an unbelievable hero. I think the year that he had this year was almost better than the last previous ones. He's getting better each and every year. He's finding out more about himself, but he's still definitely up on the upswing. Pujols obviously is up there, you know, an amazing hitter and always will be, and will go down as one of the all-time greats. But right now, when a guy steps in the batter's box and takes up at least 95% of that batter's box, you're a little intimidated one there. And then when you make any pitch to any side of the plate and he can hit it out of the ballpark at any pitch, in any count, it's definitely a little intimidating. So I think Prince Fielder is probably one of those guys right now that's always going to be on top of your mind.
Have you already been thinking about the move to the American League and how you won't be facing pitchers anymore and how that will change your strategy? Will that change your strategy going in?
It most definitely will, but I'm not there yet. I got to worry about 2012 and the year that's ahead of us, and just kind of going out with this last year to finish in the National League. As far as the AL, it will change my game. It definitely is going to be something new on me because I'm going to be pitching deeper into games just due to the fact that my manager can keep running me out there. Instead of me coming in the dugout considering I might be done right here because my spot's coming up, it just changes the strategy. But like I said, I worry about that when we get there in 2013, and it's going to be a transition for all of us.
Man, we wish you all the best of luck. Bud Norris, one of the rising young stars with the Houston Astros, best of luck to you.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it.
Good seeing you.